And what one operative called a donor strike, top party benefactors who don't want to be named because they know a donor-led revolt would backfire are moving money away from Biden and into House and Senate campaigns as a hedge against a victory by former President Trump. The problem is this isn't going to work. If Joe Biden is there as the anchor, he's going to drag down the whole ticket. Money isn't going to flip the fact that he's getting demolished. He's going to suppress turnout. This is a hopeless strategy. It'll never work. The committee includes former Obama aides. The strained relationship between Obama and Biden extends to their former aides, including David Axelrod, Obama's ruthlessly pragmatic chief strategist, the influential Pod Save America guys. Biden has reportedly called Axelrod a prick and threw shade at him. Oh, you're kidding, during Monday call-in on Morning Joe. The Pod guys, Obama alumni Jon Favreau, John Lovett, and Tommy Vitor and Dan Pfeiffer, have irritated Biden's camps by arguing for a new candidate. Lovett writes that it's hard to deny that in any 2 weeks since the debate, it's the arrogant and small Joe Biden we've seen the most. Carville, appearing all over the cable dial, says unsparingly that a new candidate is inevitable whether the president admits it or not. Keeping him would be an idiotic choice for the future of this country. Massive pressure is building from rank-and-file members of the Democratic caucus. One Democratic senator, Peter Welch of Vermont, and 14 House Democrats have publicly called for Biden to drop out. Scores more are furious at the White House for pushing them to support a president they view as unelectable. Swing seat Dems. This is the group that really matters. Vulnerable Democrats have a clear-eyed view of the president's prospects. These Dems will abandon him. Some already have, if they sense their seats are in jeopardy. The donor class. George Clooney, who headlined the largest fundraiser in Democratic Party history last month, is the leading voice of a growing number of Hollywood types who want Biden to end his candidacy. This group includes Netflix co-founder Reed Hastings and Endeavor CEO Ari Emanuel. Late-night liberals. Stephen Colbert, who moderated a major Biden fundraiser at Radio City in March, strongly suggested the president should step aside. I think that Biden debated as well as Abraham Lincoln if you dug him up right now. Jon Stewart has escalated pleas for the nominee to be someone else. He hosted Favreau and Vitor on his podcast yesterday. Debate night columns by Tom Friedman and Nick Kristof gave way to full-throated editorials, all saying Biden must go, the New York Times opinion page, including the editorial board. Biden aides busily leaking. Some longtime aides and advisors to President Biden, the New York Times reports, have become increasingly convinced that he will have to step aside from the campaign. And in recent days, they've been trying to come up with ways to persuade him that he should. Two prominent ex-Biden aides, former White House Communications Director Kate Bedingfield and Press Secretary Jen Psaki, have suggested Harris as a promising alternative. Neither specifically called for Biden to step aside, but both have softly criticized the campaign strategy and said he needs to put forward a coherent path to victory. Oh, man. He's even losing his staffers. Axelrod, who's making the case for Biden's withdrawal 2 or 3 times a day as CNN's senior political commentator, told us he aims to be both realistic and respectful. President Biden is a historic figure, and a lot of that is going to be tainted if he persists and loses the race. The people around him have a collective hundreds of years of campaign experience. They know how to interpret data. They know how to read the moment. It's just a question of whether their affection for him clouds that. I mean, I agree with this. Like, look at the way LBJ is thought of, right? Like, people don't think of LBJ as a loser. Like, LBJ signed the Civil Rights Act. LBJ picked up the country in mourning after JFK was assassinated. You know, he passed the Great Society. People think of LBJ and they think of significant president who moved the country forward. And if Joe Biden steps aside, you know, as bad of a president as he clearly was, if it works, especially if it works, it will be thought of well. But if he stays in and loses a landslide to Donald Trump, he will go and become one of the worst presidents in American history easily.